some IFSC code. Now, what is the concept here is when you enter the code, the bank IFSC code, right? This is not there, na? And this class is fine. Okay. Now, when you enter the bank IFSC code, so you may enter any code, but it should be in capital letter. And if user don't enter capital letter, we will convert it into capital letter. Right? You see websites ask PAN numbers, so codes and all. Entire form you have to fill in capital letters, and you don't even enter in capital letter, no problem, we can convert. But how we do that here is, means first point is we have to collect the name that he is entering. So first what we have to do, constant, we have code, set code, okay, is equal to use state. Code is currently empty. Now what is the point? When they type the code, I have to collect it. How do you do? For that you need one event. What is that event? Handle code change. Handle code change, we have to collect the code E. Okay, so what we have to do, set code E dot target dot what? Value. That means when they are typing the code on change, handle code change, we have to collect. After that, when they finished it, finished means they click outside, then we will use another function. What is it? Handle blur. Handle blur should execute when they blur. That means on blur. We will use on blur, handle blur. On blur, what should happen is we have to convert that code into uppercase. That means we need to set code again. Set code. So we have to collect the code to uppercase and set. And where to display that code? Inside the text box as a value, you have to display the code. In the text box as a value, you have to display. So what will happen now? You enter, what is the logic is, you enter some code. Suppose IDFC, some 0012 HYD something. Now what happens is, whatever value you entered, it is collected. It is stored. And once you click outside, that means when you lose the focus, that code is converted to uppercase and applied to same text box again. And you can see it will display. That is on blur. On blur, we have to do that. Here, remember, if you don't write on change, then it will not allow to type anything. Why it will not allow to type anything? Because you are collecting the value and binding it. Na? The binding value is not allowed to change until or unless you write which event? On change. Actually, if you have to do the same logic in JavaScript, one event is enough. On blur is enough. If the same thing you have to do in JavaScript, you don't need on change. You can just write on blur. But here, without on change, on blur will never work. Why it will never work? Because on change only will allow you to change the value. Because we have to collect the value and show in the text box, change the value from text box and update back. That is what two-way binding. Two-way binding can be achieved by using only which event? On change. So little change when compared to JavaScript. Generally, we do the same in JavaScript with just only blur. Here we don't, we have to handle compulsory that. That means you are entering something, some HD, FC, some 00, some AMT, something, and you click outside. That means it lose the focus, then automatically it will get in display. Right? That's what it is going to show. So this is another example. For which one? Blur. So here one more point I will give here. So on blur cannot change the value of element. It requires on change. So that's two are enough. So syntactically, if you are having an input type is text and value is some value binded, value is having some value, and you return only on blur some event, this is invalid. That is invalid. If value is binded, then only blur will never work. You need a combination. That means what you have to do, you have to use input type text, you have a value, and we have on blur, and you have on change. Then it is valid. That is valid. Later, these are very important. You will see these in later stage, which are very important, because later when you learn validations, you have to use them very much. Because validations, when you click outside, it says please enter a name, right? So verifying the values, validating the values are mostly done by using on blur. Now for two-way binding, we need to understand one example. That means for two-way binding, we will see one example how we handle. We'll take one real-time example of how this on change can work with a real world environment. For example, see here, we have one real world example, let's say HDFC. This is an EMI calculator. Now we will try to design this with our React, right? We will try to design this with our React and see what is the logic here is actually there is a text box, and when I am sliding the slider, the text box is changing the value, right? That means loan amount, loan tenure, and interest rate we select by using a slider. This slider value is displayed in the text box. Not only that, in the text box, when they type any number, that will be reflecting here. That means that value should update here, this value should update there. That means we need to implement this. And obviously, while sliding itself, they are showing the result. They are showing the result. That's okay. Sometimes what we do after doing this, they click the button saying that calculate, then we will get the result and display the result. But how we handle this, that means how we can manage this, right? Actually, design and logic is simple, but in React, how we do is important. In React, how we do, because already our JavaScript people do this. They already do. I will show you some example. Usually our JavaScript people do. In JavaScript, I will show the point here. So we have class projects. Yeah. So suppose we are having some EMI calculator. Yeah. You can see this is one EMI calculator. It is in JavaScript. In JavaScript, we have this. This is in JavaScript. What is the concept here is user can change the values. It will affect, it is just designed in Bootstrap. Means it's not written with logic. Logic related is in JavaScript. In JavaScript, you have EMI calculator. We have to replace them actually. in JavaScript. Okay. So you can see in JavaScript, this is the code. And you see when I scroll this, it will get the value and display in text box. When I slide this will get the value. When I slide this, it will get the value. And you click on calculate, it will get that. Right? In JavaScript, our people already do this. These are general basic things. They are not very complicated, means formulas, calculations, how they do. In React, one problem is two-way binding, how we do this. That means I change the value here, then it should reflect here. It should reflect here. That is important. That's what we need to manage. So actually in JavaScript, it completely depends on which one DOM methods. You can see the code for this. I will show you. So in the scripts, yeah, it completely depends on DOM methods. We have to use get element by ID and all. We have to calculate and we have to use that. These are completely depending on DOM methods. But now the same thing, similar thing, you should able to replicate in React. That means we will try to design this in React by using which event on change. That we will see in next session. Right, Monday we will do that. So Monday session, our target is this and one more app, weather. This one, weather app. Two applications we will design by using on change, how they work. Okay. Then Monday will continue with that. Okay. Right.